You've been in a room full of people and felt completely invisible, not because no one saw you, but because no one really saw you. And still you smiled anyway, laughed at the right moments, said all the right things, performing a version of yourself that felt exhausting to maintain. You laughed on cue, matched their energy, kept pace with every joke, even when nothing inside you actually found it funny. Every word you spoke had already been rehearsed 5 times in your head, carefully edited, stripped of anything too real, too raw, too you. And then you walked home alone, replaying the evening in silence, wondering why a room full of people still left you feeling so completely empty. Because somehow, being around people made the loneliness worse, the contrast sharper, the ache quieter but deeper than it ever was alone. Because what you wanted more than anything, more than you could ever say out loud, was simply to belong somewhere, to someone, without having to earn it. There's someone I want you to meet. Call him Daniel. Thoughtful, perceptive, quietly funny, the kind of person who remembers every small detail about everyone around him. He holds the weight of other people's forgotten moments in his open hands, carrying their small histories as if they were precious things worth keeping. And yet Daniel has never quite made it inside the circle, always one step outside it, close enough to feel the warmth, never close enough to be held by it. Because somewhere deep in his nervous system, closeness stopped feeling like safety and started feeling like the edge of something he wasn't sure he could survive falling from. He learned early, not from a single moment, but from a slow accumulation of them, that opening up was followed almost inevitably by something going wrong. He learned that vulnerability had a cost, that the moment you let someone truly see you was often the moment they used that sight against you. And so the mind did what minds are brilliant at doing. It adapted. It built a system, a carefully constructed way of being close enough to feel human, but far enough away to stay safe. Too much of himself spilled out too soon, or not enough ever came out at all, and both extremes left the scale perpetually, painfully unbalanced. In conversation, just as the warmth was building, something internal shifted, a quiet alarm, and he pulled back, deflected, changed the subject before it got too real. Or he gave everything at once, his time, his care, his whole open heart to people who barely knew him yet and couldn't hold that weight without stumbling under it. Because friendship doesn't form in grand moments of connection. It forms in the slow, unremarkable, sometimes awkward accumulation of ordinary time spent together. And at night, the conversations came back, not in peace, but in pieces, every word examined, every pause dissected, every silence assigned a meaning it may never have had. He monitored every signal, every delayed reply, every slight shift in tone, searching constantly for the confirmation of his oldest and deepest fear. 3 seconds of silence in a text thread felt like an entire verdict being handed down, a judgment delivered without a single word spoken. But here is the quiet truth he hadn't yet seen. The rejection he was so certain he felt was often something his own mind had constructed from almost nothing at all. And when he finally sat with that, really sat with it, he began to see the same scene repeating across every chapter of his social life, always ending the same way, always the same step backward at the same moment. He had been performing for approval so long that even he had started to confuse the portrait with the person standing behind it. But Jung understood this. The shadow self, the part of you that you cannot face, quietly shapes everything you do, every connection you almost make, and then quietly undo. And this is the turning point, not the moment others finally see the truth about you, but the moment you stop needing them to. The moment you look at the crossed-out words and begin to believe they were never true. Because the wound that shaped this pattern was real. It happened. It mattered. It made complete sense as a response to something that genuinely hurt, and it deserves to be met with compassion, not shame. But the armor built to survive that wound has no way of knowing the war is over. It guards against everything, threat and tenderness alike, without distinction. And somewhere behind all that solid stone there is a crack, and through that crack a single beam of light is finding you, quietly, persistently, the way truth always does. The people who seem to move through friendship effortlessly were not born that way. They simply decided, at some point, that the risk of being known was worth more than the safety of being hidden. They let people see the real version, the uncertain, unfinished, still figuring it out version, and in doing so, gave others permission to do exactly the same. So you hold open the book of your inner world and let someone lean in and look, not the polished edition, the real one, and nothing falls apart. You stay a little longer than feels uncomfortable. You let the moment breathe. You resist the instinct to turn and leave just before something real could form. You hover over the send button with a message that is honest and unguarded and slightly terrifying, and then quietly you press it anyway. Because real connection was never waiting for the perfect version of you. It was always waiting for the honest one, the present one, the one willing to be seen without armor. So you stand here now, not fixed, not fearless, not finished, but grounded, open, and no longer running from the very thing you have always needed most. Because the friendship you have been searching for has always required one thing first: you willing to be found.